Hello traders, welcome to another trading interview, this time with one of our serious FTMO traders, Dylan from Raleigh in North Carolina. Welcome, Dylan.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
And thank you too. We are really happy to have you here today. And guys, for those who are listening to us for the first time, FTMO is a proprietary trading company that actively searches for trading talents because we have developed a unique two-step evaluation process that consists of FTMO challenge and verification phase. And once you pass this two-step evaluation process, you will be offered a unique placement in our proprietary trading company where you can remotely manage your own FTMO account. And that is why we have Dylan here, because Dylan is one of our very serious traders. He is with us since, I believe, October of 2020. So he's like with us more than half a year. He had a lot of accounts, and right now he is a master of one FTMO account of 100K and with a profit from previous month of more than $8,000. And that is, again, amazing result in this long term. So before we will jump into the strategy, Dylan, please, can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Sure. Dylan Bowders. I'm from, again, Raleigh, North Carolina. I love the city that I live in. My wife and I live downtown and love to travel. We love to get out and about, walk around downtown, supporting local businesses. And I'm
interested about supporting local businesses. How do you support local businesses?
Yeah. So during the day, I'm not a full-time trader in the sense that I'm relying on my profits to pay for rent and things of that sort. So during the day, I'm a IT security consulting, have my own business, and that's what I a lot of times I'm focusing on. But fortunately, that gives me an opportunity throughout the day to check up on trades and make sure that hopefully everything is going well, and if it's not, check up on it.
And how much time do you spend on trading during the day?
I would say probably 2 to 3 hours a day. Some time on the weekends when it comes to preparation, but probably a good 2 to 3 hours a day.
Cool. And how long did you learn to trade?
So because of COVID, I had an opportunity where I wasn't traveling. I was traveling a lot for work up until COVID, and I found that I had some additional time on my hands. And a friend of mine introduced me to a company that had software that you could subscribe to. So it was an expert advisor, and I didn't even know what Forex was. It's kind of embarrassing, but that was, March of 2020. And I'm an engineer at heart, and I like to know how things work. So I wasn't the kind of person that jumped into an EA and just trusted that it worked the way that it's supposed to work. And, really dug into the weeds with what trading was. What is a sell trade? What is a buy trade? What are stop limits? What are buy limits? And that really got me interested in manual trading. So about not quite even a year and a half as far as the length of trading goes.
And how about the EA? Does it work? Or because I believe it didn't. So maybe the right question was what was the cost of the EA?
Well, the subscription cost wasn't much. The learning cost was pretty high. 2020 was definitely an expensive year of learning for me. And I think as everyone knows, and maybe you don't if you're watching this, no one has been successful trading Forex in a couple of months and then just got lucky. It takes years of practice, and I'm far from an expert when it comes to trading Forex, but I think I'm on the right track. So 2020 was an expensive lesson. I don't use that EA anymore. It was a martingale based system. And again, I had enough losses where I decided to move on, and I started to understand what is it that I want in an EA? What is it that is going to give me the right risk tools, risk mitigation tools, and be able to go on about my life and not necessarily have to sit in front of the computer all day long watching it and stressing out.
And this EA was fully automated? It executed orders for you, or?
Not exactly. I'm in the United States, so it can't be a system that automatically places trades or that automatically makes decisions for you in that sense. So there was a system, or there is a system where you have to say, okay, I approve this sequence of trades, and then it would go about making the decision on, what's the step and what's the lot size increments and all of that. So there wasn't an intervention piece to it.
And have you been thinking to program your own EA with your actual strategy?
Yeah, I've dabbled with that a little bit with some friends that I've met through the Forex community through the last year and a half, and have played around with one. The intent of the development is to have something that is accepted by prop firms and has the right risk mitigation tools and the right equity protection, obviously. So it's something that's kind of in development, but it's not something that we're looking to sell or provide subscriptions for, strictly for personal use amongst about 6 of us.
Cool. And how did you find out about FTMO?
So through the company that I used, that I am still subscribed to, I met a trader called Jesse Kammer, and Jesse had been developing his own system called XK, and that's really where I shifted from what I had learned with the EA and placing some manual trades here and there, a lot of that not necessarily successful, and moving into really understanding indicators and understanding the markets, and definitely more technical trading, very little fundamentals involved. And that's really where I got my start. I would say that Jesse has really been an inspiration in seeing what's possible, and being able to take that and adapt that to kind of not my own system by any means, but being able to understand where maybe I'm not as comfortable in going into a trade, or maybe I want to reduce my risk for whatever reason it may be, but still using those same indicators and tools.
Okay. And do you have also your own account somewhere else?
Yeah. Yep. And I'll take some of my FTMO profits and kind of diversify where those go. Again, I'm not using those funds to pay the daily bills. So I take that and kind of use it as investment income towards my own account for trading live, as well as some crypto investments, and then just paying for some of the monthly fees and dues that come with things like TradingView and some other items.
And did you find some difference between when did you trade without FTMO account and then after when you become FTMO trader?
There's an emotional component to being an FTMO trader. Certainly when you go through and do an actual challenge and verification. I did start with a trial. Highly recommend starting with a trial, because it gives you an idea of how to use the metrics and what's expected and what the system is like. It doesn't fully prepare you necessarily, but it's just like running a demo account. If you're jumping straight into Forex with live money, you probably won't be in Forex for long. So, start with a trial and give that a chance. So it absolutely was quite a bit different for me emotionally back in October of last year, going through a challenge and verification. It made me much more aware. I was more conservative with FTMO money than I was with my own. And it really helped me. Well, I didn't, I don't want to lose this opportunity at, being able to trade $100,000. So, I became, it really evolved me, I think, and helped me train to be more emotionally stable when it comes to trading. Yes, as emotionless as possible. That's right.
Cool. Great to hear that you could somehow grow with us like this.
Absolutely. Yep. So it's part of the process.
Yeah. Cool. So can you show me some strategy that you use?
Sure. Yeah, I can pull up my MT4. So here's MT4 that I have set up just for the sake of going through some of the indicators and how I use the manual system that I use called XK. I just pulled up I went through and looked at a few different pairs. AUD CHF is one that lines up fairly well, and I think is a good example to use. So just pulled it up on a demo account here.
So you solely focus on AUD CHF?
Nope. There really aren't any pairs. In fact, even in some cases, precious metals, and working. Jesse is working on adapting XK to cryptos as well, but they trade much differently. So there's a different set of indicators that he's working with on that. But really any Forex pair, even you get into something like USD ZAR that pays positive swaps, there's some ways to leverage that as well. So there's, the only indicator here is the 200 MA. I happen to be on a 1 hour chart right now. I like to look at 1 hour charts in general, and I do mostly swing trade. That's the XK system, is mostly swing trades. And I usually stick to a 1 hour chart for the initial view just for consistency, but absolutely look at all different time frames. So what I'll do then is I'll jump to the day chart, and well, as you can see here, we had quite a bit of movement on the Swiss franc today, but I'll switch over to XK. And on the day chart, what we're looking at here is we have the Bollinger Bands, we have arrows, we have the 200 the 200 MA in this case on the day chart, absolute strength histogram, which plays into it. You have RSI and stock indicators that all kind of play into the system. And without giving away a whole lot, basically what we're looking at is either overbought, oversold. We're looking for a confirmation that the trend has changed. And based on the time frame, that'll let us know whether or not we're looking at a longer or shorter swing trade. So if I come down into say H4, you see we're well outside the Bollinger Bands. We're getting oversold on RSI. We're oversold on stock. What we would be looking for then is for the absolute strength histogram to come back and have a divergence, so that we can confirm that this bearish trend is now switched to a bullish trend. And as we come down, we'll see very oversold, way below the Bollinger Bands, and just keep coming down. So then would be, well, once we get this cross, and maybe we'll see that maybe in M15, you'll see that we're starting to get a cross on the absolute strength histogram. For shorter term, this may mean we want to enter into a trade, but we typically are looking at more of like the 1 hour and the 4 hour. Once we get confirmations there, then we know that we're looking at a trade that probably will last several days.
So the crossing maybe even is just a signal for you, yeah?
Yep. That's right. It's more of a confirmation. Yep. And we want confirmation in several different areas for that. So, and then to enter the trade, as far as where we put things like stop losses, where we put target or take profits, we'll look at shorter time frames to get an entry, and we'll look at longer time frames to get support and resistance for either the stop loss or those take profits. So that's generally it, without giving away a whole lot of the special sauce.
Okay. So you use a lot of indicators. Can you jump back to them again and show me them again?
Yeah.
Because there was a RSI, 200 MA, then
Bollinger Bands,
right? How about when the trade is in the tunnel? It is somehow important too?
It depends. If I'm in the trade and it's there, then I'm possibly looking at an opportunity either to go ahead and take some profits, maybe a little bit early, maybe move stop loss if I'm already in profit and I don't want to risk going back into some kind of a retracement in the floating loss. Otherwise, if I'm not in that trade and let's just take, I don't know, let's just look at Euro USD as an example, maybe. And I haven't looked at it yet, so this may not line up for us. But we're a little overbought. We're a little overbought here. It's actually not a bad example of something to keep an eye on for a potential sell trade. But if it's in the middle, then I just move on. I move on to the next pair, keep looking, and try and find one that's more aligned with a good entry.
And you use this strategy to how many instruments?
It can be any Forex pairs. It can be oil. It can be precious metals, gold, silver.
Okay. So you are not focused really on any instrument. You just have this indicator set up, and then you will just try each instrument for each day, and then you will somehow search for the opportunity.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Nice. So can you show me in the client area how much instruments have you traded?
Yeah, let me get that pulled up.
Cool. So how do you like the new chart?
The revamp of the website looks great. it's taken me a little bit just to understand the difference between the balance and equity on the chart here, and some of the differences. But I think that it looks great, and the additional info is certainly useful. I don't use the metrics extensively. I'm very interested in data. The data certainly helps understand where you're being successful, where you maybe aren't being as successful. But given that it's not part of my system, I don't use it to necessarily change how I trade. But it certainly is good information to have.
And do you use some statistics there?
Yes. Well, some of the statistics I like to see, and one of probably the biggest used is, and I have my own risk tools. Position size calculator is something that I use that I think is great, because it can tell you based on your current open trades, what's your current risk outlay. I try and keep that to no more than, say, 4.5% of potential loss. So if every single trade I have open goes against me, I know that I'm not going to hit my max daily loss. As you can see here, I was kind of surprised to see it that low, but that's great. I mean, $881 for max loss across the period.
That's good.
Not too bad. But I also keep about $2,500 in my account, so that I have a little extra cushion on the max loss.
And if you go back to the chart, I just noticed that it seems that you take some of the profit from previous period and you roll over to runner period. Is that right?
Yep, I roll about $2,500 from the previous period, so I'm never withdrawing the full amount. I try and keep $2,500. I did $5,000 initially, and found that I never was even needing it or touching it. So I felt like moving down to about $2,500 was probably a better idea.
So that's just part of your risk management, that you are investing in your own FTMO account, and you don't want to start from the initial balance again.
Yeah, I've gone through the challenge and the verification in October, and I've had the same account since then. And I don't want to have to go back through it again just to have an account. So I want to try and do what I can to keep it.
Nice. So you don't want another FTMO account to have like 200 or 300. You don't want to change.
I have other things that I do during the day. So going back through another challenge of verification just isn't high on the list right now. Certainly something that I'll consider doing, especially if I get a good EA that I think is going to be successful with FTMO. I don't want to mix my manual trades and my EA trades, so I would look to pass another challenge and go for another account, but I wouldn't combine them, because the idea would be to have the diversity. I'm very big on diversity.
Cool, great.
I don't even like trading symbols with the same currencies at the same time, unless there's a known distance of correlation between the two.
And do you remember just roughly how many profit splits you get?
I've had a profit split every month since October.
Cool. Okay.
So, I mean, it might not be a whole lot. And again, I'm not paying the bills with it, but I've definitely had a positive profit split every month.
Wow. Great to hear that. So show me your diversity in the instruments below.
Yeah.
No, it's below. There is a better chart for it. Yep, that's it.
Almost. There we go.
Yep, there is it.
So here's the chart with the symbols. GBP CAD is one that I've been focusing on a little bit more lately.
Why is that?
So it's partly a strategy with an EA that I'm using outside of FTMO, and it typically does fairly well. It's more of a scalping EA that I've been working with, and I'll play some manual trades alongside the EA. I have run the EA on my FTMO account a few times, and it's done fine. It's worked well. It trades during a very specific period of time, so I'm much less likely to hit a news event. And it also doesn't hold trades for very long, so I'm not too worried about getting into a Thursday trade that's gonna be a negative and hold over the weekend. Now, again, with the swing account type, which I plan to change to, that that consideration changes. So I'll have to rethink my strategy around that. And also just the fact that my current system with XK that I've been following Jesse on, it's a little awkward to follow a 3-week swing trade, having to close out on Friday and then getting in on Monday potentially. If we're already in profit, maybe I don't want to get in and I just move on to the next one. So I can't really I haven't been able to fully take advantage of that, of the XK swing trade system without holding trades over the weekend. So I'm excited to really lean into that a bit more.
And how long do you hold the trades on the Swing account or Swing trade? Swing trading
so yeah,
strategy.
on my live account that I trade outside of FTMO, I can have trades open for 2-3 weeks. I usually don't hold them much longer than that. I know Jesse has had some trades that he keeps open for sometimes a month or more. The thing with that is you end up, obviously your swaps end up going up and you have some cost associated with that. But you can also get into a situation where you have a good amount of floating profit, and then you can lean in more on some other trades. So that's also a good situation to be in, and looking forward to being able to do that within FTMO as well.
And did you came across our new product, FTMO Account Swing, where you can hold trades or
Yep, I plan to change to that on my profit split next week.
Cool, cool, great. And now, how about again the scalping strategy? Why do you change it? Like, why to have 2 strategies in one account?
Well, I'm typically not using the scalping and swing strategies in the same account, again, because I don't want to overlay that risk. So if I know, for instance, if my outlay on my swing trades is 4%, I'm probably not scalping on that account. Well, I'm not scalping on the FTMO account. I'll do that on my live account where I have more room for floating loss. But again, with diversity and also just the fact that as an engineer at heart, learning to love how different things work, I found that there's such a difference in scalping versus swing trades that I'm fascinated with what that is and why and how to better understand it so I can be more successful with it.
And if I'm correctly seeing, you have a lot of different volumes opening in your trade. That is because you have said you have the application for calculation your risk?
Yes. I think you probably see a lot of lot sizes in the 0.2 to 0.4 range.
Yep.
And that's because if I'm going into risk, usually the stop loss distance is about the same. It's definitely not a specific pip range, but usually it's about the same. And if I'm putting in, say, 3 or 4 take profits, that division of the total lot size ends up being coincidentally in the 0.2 to 0.4 range.
And you are risking no more than 1.5%.
Usually I'm aiming for 1% per symbol.
Per symbol. Yep. No more.
Sometimes less.
And how about the risk reward?
To be honest, I'm not sure. That's actually not something I focus on because I'm more focused on the total risk outlay.
Okay. So let's take a look. Okay, I can see 3. That's really good.
Well,
and the win rate 71.
Maybe it wouldn't be good.
Also really good. Win rate 71 and risk reward ratio 3. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, last month was definitely, I think, one of my better months. I would say that that's not my average, but I'm happy to have that as a target and aim for that, every month.
And do you have some limits of how many trades you can open per day?
No. Nope. It all comes down to my risk outlay and then my own kind of system, not a defined system, but the diversity around symbols. I don't want to have a bunch of euro pairs, for instance, because all it takes is one bad news event for euro, and then I'm headed towards my stop losses, or maybe take profits. But I'd rather mitigate that risk than try and lean in for profit.
And how do you work on your psychology during the trading?
So the one book that I found really useful, No Nonsense Forex Trading Psychology, I thought was really good. I mean, it's a very hard look and very black and white look at a trader's psychology, and it defines having a system, having a proven system, and then remove not only the emotion but also remove the thinking when it comes to trading. So certainly you have to evaluate things. It's not like the system is an EA, but the system can be a set of indicators like I use with Jesse's XK system. And you have certain things that you look for. And when everything lines up, you take your trade, you set your stop loss, you set your take profits. And it's not necessarily set and forget, because part of the system is to reevaluate, but you're not saying, oh my gosh, I've got this huge movement because of a news event, and you overreact. And certainly it's fine if you're taking profit and you're reacting, but not to take losses because you're emotionally attached to it. And then revenge trading, of course, you don't want to go there. But I thought that book was really great about removing the emotion from trading.
And by reevaluation, you mean backtesting or changing the system in itself?
Just reevaluating an existing trade, for instance. Certainly the system should be open to change. And that's certainly the case. But mostly what I was referring to is I'm in an open trade. I've got my take profits. I've got my stop loss. And if I see something has changed within the indicators that suggests maybe the length of the swing trade may be shortened, or perhaps maybe we need to extend it out, then those are some things that might happen.
And how about the backtesting?
Haven't really done a ton of backtesting outside of just inside of EA development. So haven't really done much in that regard.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you very much for this overview. It's kind of very simple and I really like it. So let's get going to another part. Okay, Dylan, so let's talk about your future and your future in the trading career. Where do you see yourself in like 5 years period?
Well, 5 years. So, I mean, I would love to still be trading FTMO. I'd love to still be trading Forex. Like I said, it's not a full-time job. Maybe it's a full-time job in 5 years. I don't know, because I try to not set my future without an opportunity to change that as things come up. But yeah, in 5 years, I've got my consulting business that I hope is doing not only just quite well, but also gives my wife and I some flexibility to continue traveling and enjoying our lives together, as opposed to the grind of 9 to 5. And again, don't like sitting in front of the computer all day long. I've done plenty of time in front of the computer. So flexibility in life.
And where do you want to travel?
Let's see, Prague would be great. Cool. Maybe some in Europe. I've got ancestors in Holland, so getting out to there. I love Scotch, whiskey, Scotch. Yep. And I've been to Scotland. Would love to get back there. My wife is from South America. There's Central America, everywhere, all the places.
Nice. Glad to hear it. And do you have some guidance to our traders?
Yes. Master risk management and master your emotions. I mean, without those things, all the technical training and all of the fundamental training doesn't really mean a whole lot. It won't amount to a whole lot. If you don't have emotional control and if you don't have risk management in place, then you're relying on luck, and that's not going to get you very far.
Cool. Thank you for this. And what did you say to others about FTMO?
Look, if I had my own $100,000 just sitting in a bank that I could take out and trade, why would I do that if I can use someone else's money? And when you have the system in place that forces you to have the risk management, and I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity. And I can say, obviously, with confidence that FTMO is a stand-up company. I've been getting profit splits every month since October of last year. It's been great trading with FTMO, and I've spoken nothing but great things about your company and the opportunity to anybody that's asked or that will listen.
Great. Thank you a lot for those words.
Absolutely.
All right, Dylan. So this was very good to meeting you. I'm very happy so that I could know you. I gained a lot of knowledge.
Same, Peter.
Thank you very much. I gained a lot of knowledge from you, and other might too. So thank you so much from my side, and I believe from others. And also thank you for those trading insights. Very helpful. And I'd also like to point out that it is amazing how you can steadily grow without being greedy. So the greediness is always the very tough fight to have. So very nice to see you that you can handle it. And I have also one special advice for you. The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So stick to your rules and prosper as much as possible. And do you have some last words?
Well, thanks to FTMO for the opportunity again, obviously. Thanks to Jesse and his XK system for giving me the tools to even have this opportunity, and knowing that as a relatively new trader, even in October of last year, didn't even have a year under my belt, to be able to go through FTMO's verification system and have that kind of capital to trade has been great. So thanks to you, thanks to Jesse, and thanks to my wife for being patient with me.
And that's FTMO.